Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. So there was a big convention over the weekend and the stars of The Flash were talking about season 3 Flashpoint things, so this is going to be all about that. Carlos, the actor that plays Cisco, was saying there's going to be huge changes, but he said not in a bad way. So I think they're going to make some changes from the Flashpoint comic book storyline. I mean, besides the obvious changes, they're not going to have Batman on The Flash, so there are certain characters from Flashpoint Paradox that you will not see on The Flash Season 3. But the main arc of Flashpoint is just that Barry goes back, prevents his mother from being murdered, and it causes complete chaos with the timeline. Everything changes in a catastrophic, terribly bad, world-ending scenario. In the comics, Barry going back in time to save his mother pretty much leads to the end of the world. The way Cisco was talking about it is that things will change in a dramatic way, but it's not going to be as dire consequences as the comic book scenario. So just expect dramatic changes from the comic book storyline. But there were some Flash Arrow actors that have died off on the TV show that talked about showing up on Earth 2 again, so we'll talk about that in a sec, but let's talk about the main characters first. What about Barry? It sounds like he's still going to have powers. I don't think that people would watch a Flash TV show where the Flash can't be the Flash for a certain amount of time. Maybe there'll be a couple times when he loses his powers briefly, but he'll get them back. I think we can all agree that everyone wants to see the Flash doing things that the Flash does in the comics, but of all the things that are changing next season, Barry will probably be the least changed because he'll be a remnant from the original timeline. Like, oh my god, what have I done? The future's completely changed. Whereas when it goes back to the future, nobody else will know the difference, although Cisco's ability allows him to sense changes in the timeline. So if Cisco is still a metahuman and still has his vibe powers, which I think that he will, he'll know that something's different, but he won't totally understand what's going on right away. Helping him out, as always, will be most of the main cast. They pretty much said most of the main cast is coming back. I know after the finale, Tom Cavanaugh was a question mark. He was one of my big picks to come back just because he's such an amazing actor. He's been main cast. He's so integral to Team Flash that I figured they'd find some way to bring him back. They didn't say which version of him would be coming back, if he'd be Earth 2 Harrison Wells or if he'd be the original version of Harrison Wells. That's actually the version we've seen the least of. If you remember in Season 1, we saw Eobard Thawne basically absorb his DNA just so that he could hide out for all those years wearing him like a meat suit. So we might actually see that original version of Harrison Wells, but just to be determined. So I know a lot of you are asking if those Earth 2 characters that we saw so much of last season are going to come back. Does that mean Barry changing the past isn't going to completely change all the stuff that happened with Zoom during Season 2? Is it going to reset the timeline? I think it's a little early to make predictions about that, but I feel like they're not totally going to trample on all the adventures that Team Flash had, all the victories that they had. I think the relationships will just shift, and there'll be like one or two things that are catastrophically bad as a result. Like the whole point of the Flashpoint Paradox arc is Barry coming to terms with the idea that you can't save everyone, and you just have to be okay with that. So what'll probably happen is he goes back, saves his mother, and is like, you're fine, I'm not gonna hurt you. He goes back to the future, and we see his mom for a good portion of the season. She's just like the kind, benevolent figure that you always thought that she would be, like just a great mom in the way that Henry Allen was a great dad. But because John Wesley Shipp is Jay Garrick now, maybe that means that Henry Allen ends up dying at some later date. So he saves his mother, but his father dies. So I think whatever changes they make to the comic book Flashpoint storyline, the message will still be the same. Barry will get to the end of the season and realize that he can't always save everyone. But I think the biggest question I know a lot of you guys have is, does that mean that dead people like Eddie will come back? It's totally possible. The actors that were at this comic book convention were talking a lot about Black Siren, Katie Cassidy's character. Like, wouldn't it be awesome for her to come back and have a crossover with Arrow? Obviously, the actors don't have the whole story. Like, they're just now meeting with the producers to find out what's going on next season because they're still writing it. They haven't written all the episodes yet. They're still deciding what the major arcs are going to be. But if they're going to do a big four-way crossover, I think they're going to try and find a way to bring back all the really big characters that you tend to see every single season. So that means some of the dead Earth 2 characters like Earth 2 Deadshot. I know we talked about how the Suicide Squad in the movies basically killed off the Suicide Squad on the TV show, but Deadshot is like the funny, bumbling police captain of Earth 2, so we might see him again. I think we'll definitely see Katie Cassidy come back, just because everyone was like, oh my god, metahuman Black Canary, this is so amazing. Even though they didn't call her Black Canary. She's Black Canary in everything but name, pretty much. But what about Killer Frost? Earth 2 Killer Frost is dead. They might choose to make Caitlin a metahuman. We will see Killer Frost one way or another, whether she comes from our Earth or she comes from another Earth. Remember, we have the multiverse multiverse, we have an infinite number of planets that we can visit. Speaking of which, Supergirl's Earth. I know everyone's still wondering, are they going to combine her Earth with Earth 1 now that she's on the CW with all the other shows? No one associated with the show, none of the producers have said anything about it, so until we actually hear some news, I'm just going to assume she's still going to be on a separate Earth. They're going to have to travel via wormhole to get to her. But we will see the 4-night crossover, so that will probably be a multiverse spanning story, which will probably involve a multiverse villain. We might see Crime Syndicate. We might see them involved in some sort of larger Legends of Tomorrow Justice Society story. Justice Society, that's actually a whole separate thing. They explained that Legends of Tomorrow Season 2 is going to look completely different from Season 1. Different scenarios, different problems, going to different places. So the best example that I can think of that would be like American Horror Story, where season to season, it's a completely different story with different characters, and it doesn't look anything like the season before. But isn't that just a funny idea? Legends of Tomorrow, Murder House, Legends of Tomorrow, Freak Show. If you guys don't know what American Horror Story is, don't worry about it. It's just an anthology show that changes a lot from season to season. That's the way they're talking about Legends of Tomorrow. It's going to be an anthology show. So think of it as like a comic book volume, and then the heroes go off and do something else the next season. But speaking of Justice Society, I know I've talked about Jay Garrick on The Flash Season 2. He'll definitely come back to guest star, but I'm also kind of expecting them to borrow him for that big 4-night Justice Society crossover. Just because he's such a big Justice Society character, it'd be silly not to use him. But if you remember how much Henry Allen showed up during the first half of The Flash Season 1, he was there for a couple episodes. I think it's going to be the same deal with Jay Garrick from Earth 3, like the Jay Garrick that we met at the end of Flash Season 2. He'll probably come back and help every once in a while, but I'm not expecting him every single episode. I don't think that he's supposed to be a series regular. But let me know in the comments, what do you guys want them to do? If they're not going to do the exact comic book storyline from Flashpoint Paradox, how do you want them to mess with the characters? I think everybody would like to see a metahuman version of Caitlin on Earth 1, but don't worry, even if they don't go that route, we'll probably see some version of Killer Frost. But Gorilla Grodd, King Shark, pretty much all the hits. Any of the biggest characters from the previous season, like the big fan favorites, they'll totally be back at least once during the season. They haven't said a whole lot about the villain yet. They'll probably cast that person during the summer, but supposedly it's not going to be a metahuman. Like I said in my Season 3 predictions video, what they might end up doing is giving him a comic book name and just making him a non-powered version of that character, if that's going to be the case. But if you are wondering, don't worry, I'll be doing Flash bonus videos all summer. There'll be all kinds of DC comic book, Marvel comic book stuff going on. So it is going to be an awesome summer, and they've actually already started writing the Flash Season 3. We're in the middle of convention season, which means the actors are going to be talking about the next season. So we might actually get some pretty cool info dumps in the next couple of months. So be sure to subscribe to get everything, and there is a new round of the DC giveaway. Don't worry, I'll still keep doing the giveaway all summer. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this video. It's just a $20 Amazon gift card, just like normal. So if there's any Flash bonus videos that you guys want me to do, just let me know in the comments below. While you guys wait for my next video to post, you can click here for my big Flash Season 3 predictions video, and you can click here to learn about the new backstory for Brienne that George R. Martin just wrote. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tonight.